Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Lisa Huber, and you're listening to the Divine I Am Broadcast Network, where we bring spiritual and metaphysical awareness from the heart to the public. And today it's my pleasure to introduce my friend Loli Jane. She's a certified professional animal communicator and graduate of the, whoops, sorry, I do that all the time. Let me get back here. And graduate of the Gurney Institute of Animal Communication and Pranic healer with the Institute of Asian Studies. And she is thrilled to be serving animals and their humans as an interspecies communicator. She can assist with issues involving behavioral training. I had to look and I'm like, well, physical health, death, dying, and end of life issues. Animals already passed on. Assist locating lost animals, reincarnation, past lives, and animals as our mirrors. She also provides highly effective remote energy healing. Lolly does pro bono work. I think this is so cool with Honolulu Zoo and has worked with the Wild Heart Sanctuary, Pacific Primate Sanctuary, and the Wildlife Way Station doing animal communication, volunteering, or providing pranic healing, a non touch healing technique to balance emotions and remove pain, injuries, illness, disease, stress, trauma while cleansing and energizing chakras. Wow.
Woo! That's a mouthful.
Oh
Wow,
my
I do a
God.
lot.
You do. Oh, thank you for taking the time to be here. I
You're
greatly
welcome.
appreciate it.
Wow,
Thank you so much.
that's a big bio. Hi guys. I'm so excited. I am
Me
going to talk to you about spirituality and animal communication and how it has changed me in so many ways. So we're going to have a little metaphysical talk since you're metaphysical spiritual audience. So before I share what it has done for me and the changes it's made in my life, I want to talk a little bit about what animal communication is. Somebody asked me if I bark. They're like, "How do you do it? Do you bark?" I'm like, "No, but that's a great question. Love it." And feel free to ask me questions. You can interrupt me in the middle of this and ask me anything. Um, so, animal communication is simply telepathy. It is the way animals communicate with each other. They communicate with each other telepathically. So, all of these vocalizations that you hear are warning calls to other animals, they're warning calls to each other, they're vocalizations for us. They don't necessarily communicate with in that language. They communicate with each other. That's why different species can talk to each other.
I love
Your dog and your cat are talking to each other, and you probably are fully aware of that one. They're plotting while you're not at home.
Yes, they are.
So that takes place telepathically. So the way we communicate with animals is a telepathic language. It has no uh, it translates from any language. Somebody asked me once, "Can you speak to a dog who learned German?" Or I have clients all over the world, so I have clients in other languages, and telepathy is universal. It's an exchange of thought forms. So when you think a thought, it's like a little bubble. It's called a thought form. And kind of like throw your bubbles out into the universe, all of your thoughts, good and bad. We can do another class on manifestation of thoughts. But our good and bad thoughts go everywhere. So when you're walking by an animal or walking by your animal, they're like, "Oh, I have to shut my ears off because all I hear is these chatter, chatter, chatter from all these humans with all the thoughts, all of our hundreds of thousands of thoughts." So they basically like walk by us going, "I can't hear you, I can't hear you, I can't hear you," especially the wild animals, until you engage with them. Once you engage with them, and the way I do it is I start a conversation with them just like I would with a person. It's not magic, it's not psychic, it's not a guess. I'm actually having a direct conversation with an animal. And um, it's your thoughts, it's images, it's audio sometimes, it's anything using your senses, a sense of smell, So depending on the sender and the receiver, you know how some people are more visual and image oriented, and some people are more audio, and they
Yes.
learn better that way.
Mhm.
So are animals. So we have our own set of, what we're best at, and then so do the animals. So depending on the animal that I talk to, sometimes it's more visual and sometimes it's more auditory and sometimes it's more empathic. But let me tell you a little background on me
Mhm.
is the way I got started was not an overnight thing. It was an evolution of my soul. But I, at age 6, lost my hearing. So I grew up
Mhm.
profoundly hard of hearing my entire life, and I still am. And that's why I don't wear the earbuds. I can't. I have a prosthesis in there.
Hmm.
So I've had 2 surgeries. I've had hearing aids, you name it, everything. So I grew up with this deficit. And when I found animal communication, it was completely life changing and altering.
Oh,
I'll give you the short story because the long story is really long. So I became clairaudient. So throughout my life, it became clear to me that I was a channel, and I became clairaudient. I had a whole angelic experience, which is a whole nother, thing that we can talk about. But the angels came to me, taught me how to be clairaudient, so on and so forth. So
I love
my
it.
life progressed, and I met up the I was living in Hawaii at the time, doing whatever job I could. You don't get to pick your career if you live in Hawaii. You just survive.
Aw.
So I'm doing a sales job. So I'm working in an activity booth and doing sales, which it was okay for me because I was helping people with activities and I like that. But I was doing sales nonetheless. And this woman walks into my booth one day. Her name was Amelia Kincaid, and she was an animal communicator. And she was holding a workshop on the island, and she stayed in my booth for 2 hours that day. And she talked to me and shared with me all of these amazing stories. And I swear to God, it lit me on fire. And that night I went home, and I want to share with you stuff about soul animals and my animal Frosty. I went home that night. Frosty had passed away a long time ago. I never had gotten over the grief.
Mhm.
So I went home that night and I had a dream that Frosty came to me in my dream and told me that I need to get a ring that signifies our love for each other, like a marriage, that we're never going to be apart, and to go find a ring that represented us. I still have yet to
Aw.
find a ring. So I came in the next day to work, right? And Amelia came back for some odd reason. She came back and she goes, I just want to tell you something. She goes, your dog Frosty told me, and she literally told me the exact same thing that I had a dream about.
Oh,
Exactly, to the T. I was like,
my goodness.
mind blown.
I love it.
So I was involved with the Church of Divine Science, which is also called New Thought. And, they kind of knew I talked to Archangel Michael, I was a channel, this and that. So after another animal communicator had come in, we all went to lunch together. I was picking her brain. I bought her book. And somebody said to me, they said, well, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you're an energy healer, you can do that. Well, why aren't you an animal communicator? I said, I don't know, because I told myself I can. They said, well, stop it. I said,
Mhm.
okay. So I went home the next day and I'm like, faking it until I make it, right? Right?
Yep.
Manifestation. So
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm a master animal communicator. I'm a master animal communicator. I'm a master animal communicator. I said that every day. And all of a sudden, I wanted to find myself. I tried to go back and find Amelia like about 5 times, and
Mhm.
the timing never worked out for her to be my teacher. I really tried to find her. She was traveling, she was
Mhm.
here, she was there. She came back to the island twice, but I could not take her class because of logistics. So she wasn't going to be my teacher, but she was my seed that
Yes.
sprouted. So I went on a search to find a school. I ended up with the Gurney Institute of Animal Communication. And the timing was impeccable because I signed up for this class. I flew over there, and lo and behold, uh, COVID was starting. I did not know. We did not know. We were in the class. So
Mm-hmm.
when I flew back after my first workshop, um, I came back and coronavirus was starting, and everybody's like, you need to go on lockdown. I'm like, what is this thing? And so the workshop that used to be live ended up being online for 2 years. So I did a 2 year mentoring program with a mentor, very intensive program. So anyway, I became certified while the whole COVID thing was going on. And so instead of me having to deal with like this whole really heavy, being on lockdown and scared, I was
Yeah,
talking to animals all day
I
long. It
love
was
it.
amazing.
Lolly,
Amazing.
Lolly, where is the Gurney Institute?
The Gurney Institute moved to North Carolina. They were in California.
Mhm.
And I was the last class that there ever will be professionally. She's
Oh,
retiring next
okay.
year. So
Mm-hmm.
she's still going to teach intro classes, but she's not doing any more professional training. I was the last class. So I got on
Wow,
board. My soul led me to this,
that is awesome.
I know, it's amazing. So enough about me. I'm not going to talk about myself anymore.
I love it.
So what I want to share is the absolute profoundness. I could talk for like 10 hours on this stuff. So you guys feel free to ask me questions, okay? So what I want to share with you is um so soul animals. Let's talk about soul animals. So soul animals, so our animals incarnate. The animals that we have in our homes that are next to us, those animals incarnate over and over and over again. And sometimes you'll meet up with a soul animal and you'll know that animal. You'll know that this is more than, you may have two animals at home, but one of them is your soul animal. And you will know because you will just feel it in your heart that there's something really deep. So my dog Frosty, a white mini American Eskimo, he was my soul animal. And I lost my mother. My mom died. And let me tell you, and other people will tell you this, it was far more painful to lose Frosty. And I went for 13 years crying over this animal. For
Oh,
13 years. I was not an animal communicator back then.
mm-hmm.
And not until I got into this training program at the Gurney Institute did I get complete and total healing. I mean, complete and total healing in this horrible, horrible, gut wrenching, heartbreaking, feeling of loss from him. So I knew he was my soul animal, but I didn't know the depth of it until we learned about doing past life regressions. So the purpose of the incarnations is they come back to you over and over and over again. They incarnate with you and they help you with your lessons. So those really big, monumental lessons that we have been going through the last couple of years in this incarnation, you guys, we are light workers. If
Yeah.
you're on this broadcast network, you're a light worker.
Mm-hmm.
So this heavy, heavy karmic cycles that we've been going through, this is it, guys. We're not doing it again. I've been told this is the end of the karmic cycle. So all the probably the heaviest karmic debt, whatever we've ever had, was this lifetime. And so our soul animals were absolutely with us for sure in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they incarnate to help us with the lessons. And when I do the past life regression, I find out who passed away. We don't have time on this broadcast to do that, but if you
Yeah.
want to learn about that, get in touch with me. I have other YouTube classes. We could do some more stuff on this broadcast. But the past life thing, at the end of the session, while you're I'm looking at and talking to your animal in the past life and you in the past life, I ask who passed away first, and I ask what are the lessons, um, or what was your last thought
Mm-hmm.
before you passed away? And a lot of times it's like I didn't do enough for my person. My person got hurt and my person got killed. I have to come back and protect them more. So in
Oh,
the next lifetime with them, I got to be back in there and I got to be overprotective. So those animals that are super aggressive and super overprotective and you don't know why, and there's no reason in this lifetime, that's why. So there's a lot of things that happen in other lifetimes, and they carry it forward. They carry the lessons with you forward. You may have wanted a lesson, and they're helping you with your lessons. So the animals that are by your side are walking through your lessons with you, and they're
Lolly,
mirroring you. Oh,
excuse
did
me.
you have a question? Uh-huh.
Yeah, Lolly, when you said that, it really hit me too about that they are really wanting to come back and get into your life. We had a cat that lived outside. It was an outdoor cat, indoor, outdoor. And apparently, my kids told me the neighbors up and moved, took the dog and left the cats just to be out. And I thought, ugh. So this cat ran in on Halloween night and just came in our house, and that was it. And it was like, I'm living here. Just came
And
right.
that believe me, that's probably your soul animal. That
Oh
I
my
have
goodness.
I
Yeah.
have I have a similar story with a black cat that just
Mhm.
we were robbed. Somebody climbed on our balcony. I was living in Tampa,
Oh,
Florida. This was in
jeez.
college.
Mhm.
Somebody climbed on the balcony with a knife and tried to like rob us, and who
Oh,
knows, it was me and
jeez.
another female rape us. I was a college
Yeah,
teenager or whatever in my 20s.
yeah.
And fortunately, that night her boyfriend was there. So the police came. I slept through all of this. I didn't even wake up. They told me all of this the next morning. And he's like, and by the way, there was this black kitten that appeared. So he threw it in the house. So I wake up in the morning, there's a black kitten there, and I go to, I get the story, and he tells me he threw this black kitten in the house. It just appeared out of nowhere. And black cats are protective, right? That's what they
Mhm,
do. They're like black crystals. They protect
mhm.
you. So I walk out of the house the next day, and I close the door. I leave the kitten in because I had to go to school. And I come back. I turn my back, and there's another black kitten that looks exactly the same. I'm like, oh my god, how did it sneak out between my legs? So I open the door, try to shove it in there, and there's two identical, literally twins,
Oh.
black kittens out of nowhere. So I eventually had to only keep one. I had that cat for 22 years, and that cat was my
Yeah.
protector.
Oh.
So
Mhm,
that was another soul animal that I had.
mhm.
So if they animals appear out of nowhere, it's not
Yep.
it's divine timing, and they incarnated and they have to come find you, and they're guided by their angels and your angels.
Mm.
The angelic teams, they get together and make sure it happens. Make
Oh,
sure it happens.
I wanna say Maria just commented, she said, "Yes, I have that connection with my fur baby that passed away last year, and also my fur baby now. I have past lives with both of them, and our bonds are incredible."
It's incredible,
Oh,
and they come
thank you.
back over and over. So my Frosty wait, I have to tell you the Frosty story. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't wanna run out of time. Can we go 2 hours?
I'm totally fine with that if you want, and
I
well,
mean, you guys wanna go 2 hours? I'm serious. I have
I'm
so much to
I
say.
am I am game, and I just if I could have, I just wanted to welcome in Nettie's with us, Elisa and Nicole. Hold on, and excuse me, Light Magic and Goddess, Maria and Bev. Guys, we're so grateful you're here. If you want to share this out, we would greatly appreciate this because the more the merrier that people can understand. This is a lot of great information that Lolly's going to go over. Yeah, I'm game. If you're game, let's
Okay,
get
good. Okay, we're going 2 hours, guys. Yay.
Yay!
Okay, so invite all your friends. Share this right now. Get them on here. Get them
Yes.
on board.
Hmm.
So, okay, I'm so excited. I don't have to rush. I hate,
Yeah, no, yeah, I
Okay,
know.
so let me tell you the Frosty story real quick, how I met Frosty,
Mhm.
how he came to me. It was like unbelievable. Okay, so I kept dreaming about this white dog for at least 10 years. I'm guessing 8 to 10 years. I kept having this dream about this white dog, and I thought it was symbolic. I kept looking up dream symbols. What does a white dog mean? Blah, 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 right? So I think I was living in California at the time, and I couldn't even have dogs, because I was living in rentals and all of that stuff. So I kept dreaming about this white dog, and as the years passed, it became clear what kind of dog this was. And I found out it was a white mini American Eskimo, or a Spitz. And I looked up the breed, and then it became clear that I was dreaming about an actual dog, okay, not just this white symbol, or angelic symbol.
Mhm.
So, for 10 years this went on. This was ridiculous. Okay, so I had this huge transformation and change of life where I left one job. I was immediately transferred to Washington State. And when I got there, I'm like, you know what? I'm buying a house and getting a dog because I finally could because, more
Yes.
affordable there. So I decided I was buying a house and getting a dog. And I bought this townhouse that was being built, and I was living with some roommates temporarily. And they came to me one day. They said, "Come on, we're gonna go to the shelter and get you a dog." I'm like, "No, no, no." I go, "Number one, my house is not complete. Number two, I don't know what kind of a dog would fit in my house, because it was this like tri-level, like multi-level townhouse. Kind of like something you would find in San Francisco, like stairs, 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 more stairs. And then I said, thirdly, I'm not getting any dog unless it's a white mini American Eskimo. Period.
Mhm. Mhm.
So they were begging me, three of them, begging me, no, no, let's go to Everett Shelter. Come on, we'll get you a dog. So something happened where we got delayed. They wanted me to go in the morning. Something happened, right? So we show up in the afternoon. I finally agreed. Okay, fine, I'll go to the shelter. So we show up in the afternoon. I walk around the cages, and lo and behold, there is a white mini American Eskimo. So I
Wow.
stop and I'm like, wow. I go, but I wanted a puppy. This animal's 6 years old. I go, but I wanted a puppy. This is what Frosty did. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, this is the count. This is the floor. Frosty did these
Oh.
numbers.
Wait, wait, wait. If you're in
Okay.
Clubhouse, you gotta see that on YouTube. That was cute.
So I'm like, oh, okay. I go, so I asked the lady who worked there, I said, can I, play with him for a little while? She said, well, I'm gonna tell you, there's a family in front of you,
Mm.
but I'm gonna tell them that you were here before and you're first.
Mhm.
And I want you to go on the dog run with him. So I ran back and forth. They had this dog run outside. We go outside. It is like we have known each other forever.
Aw.
I mean forever. And so we're running back and forth like we're in love. And she says to me, I'm not even going to tell the family he's adoptable. He is yours.
He knew.
So, I check out, I pay the fine, I pay the fee, check
Mhm.
out. They're driving, so I put him in my lap, and I swear to God, it was I was being forever. So, but what I did not know is all of that. What I'm going to share with you about the animals incarnating over and over. So I just thought it was my dog, right? So after my dog, we were in love forever, and after my dog passed, it was like I couldn't even deal with it. And then I was so distraught, and
Mhm.
um, my friends are like, "Let's get a cat, let's get a kitten." I'm like, "Hell no, I'm never ever getting another animal as long as I live. I'm never loving another creature." And
Right.
I wasn't going to. And then one day, this thought creeped in my mind. Maybe I'll get a kitten. I said, "I'll go on the adoption pages." So I went on the adoption pages. There was hundreds of cats, hundreds
Mhm.
of kittens. I looked through every single one. I mean, hundreds. And I'm like, that one, right? So I call them up, and they're like, that cat. The cat's name was Cloud. It was a white cat. Okay, my dog was a white dog. It looked like a cat. It had pointy ears, and um, so what happened was she said, "Oh, this Cloud's not available. She's not available for another 2 weeks, but I'll meet you in Pet Supermarket in 2 weeks." So in 2 weeks, I met them, and I went to get Cloud, and I decided when I was driving there, if I'm not instantly in love with this animal, I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
I walk in, I take one look at Cloud, I ran over to the register. I'm like, "Don't touch that cat. That's my cat." So I take Cloud home, right? But still, I wasn't an animal communicator. I didn't know this, right?
Uh-huh.
Cloud was born the day Frosty was put down.
Oh my.
Hint number one.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then hint number two was it looked exactly like Frosty. Like Frosty literally looked like an oversized cat because many American Eskimos have those pointy
Yes.
ears.
Yep.
He looked like a cat. He didn't really look like a dog. So this cat was I mean, exactly like what looked like my dog, except had a little gray cloud over its head.
Hmm.
Okay, so then what I found out when I was at the Gurney Institute, and we're doing the class on past lives and all that stuff, was when your animal comes back to you, they're going to try to show you one or two personality traits, one or two, not everything. When they incarnate into a new being and a new body, they're going to have a new set of personality traits. It's a new body. They want to try out some other stuff.
Right.
Not everything's going to be the same, but there will be one or two uncanny things that they'll try to show you that I am that other animal. Well, when she said that, it was like, seriously, because that was my response. Because I had this like light bulb go off, and I'm going, oh my God, I never knew. So what? Let me tell you what Cloud tried to show me. So when I had Frosty, we bought this new house. I installed a doggy door. I had a cat for 22 years. So the cat's like, I'll show you how to use a doggy door. So they went through the doggy door, and I put the litter box outside because I didn't have a yard. I was working full time. It was just me. So I put a litter box outside and tried to have them both use it, right? Until I could come home and walk Frosty. So the cat would, show the dog how to use the doggy door, and then would pee on the litter box. Let me show you how to use a litter box. This is how you do it. Okay, I got it. I'm a boy though. So Frosty would pee a circle around the litter box, but at least he made it to the litter box, right? So he would always pee around the litter box. And the other thing that Frosty did when I had him, when we lived in Washington, when it would snow, we had this beautiful like forest clearing behind the house. And I would take him out there, let him off leash, and he would like run these huge circles around the snow, and he was so like joyful and happiness. If I ever get down, I think of that moment. I actually have a big tooth wound in my leg because he was so happy one day. He ripped right through my wool pants and
Oh,
went right into my leg. And I didn't even feel the pain because I saw his joy.
mhm.
So it's my tattoo from him. Okay, so that was Frosty, right? Let's cut to Cloud. So what did Cloud do? Cloud from the beginning would pee around the litter box. She was a
Mhm.
girl. She never made it in the litter box. I tried everything. I tried, okay, let me try a different cat litter. Let me try, different location. Let me try a
Mhm.
tracking pad. Let me try this. Let me try that. I went to the vet. I asked everybody. It was so irritating because I could not get to the bottom of it and figure out the problem to fix it. Okay? Personality trait number one, she was showing me she was Frosty. Number two, she would run outside the house, run into our yard in Florida, and run these big giant circles around the yard. Personality trait number two,
Mhm.
showing me she was Frosty. I did not get that until I didn't have Cloud anymore because I moved. I couldn't keep her. I tried to get a home for her. I could not find a place that would let me take pets, so I lost Cloud too. Um,
Oh.
so I, at the time, that I became an animal communicator, I didn't have animals except for some Jackson chameleons. And so when I found out about Cloud, I was just, oh Lord, Lord. So then I found out. So then I did a past life regression with Frosty and my own issues. So the way I do past lives and the way it's helpful for all of you is if you have one of those, and you guys can ask me questions here, if you have one of those very large issues in your life, the kind where, maybe it surfaced over and over again, which you can't quite seem to get over, that's the issue we can delve into. I call myself an interspecies therapist because I go deep. I don't do the surfacey, your dog says cutesy stuff like this. No, I don't do that. I help you like on the soul level. And I
Mhm.
help your animal on the soul level. And so what I do is I go in with an issue that you have, like a big giant issue. And I go in and I go into your past lives and I look at the first time that you ever have this issue, what the first past life, and then I look at an issue where your animal was with you, and then I'll look at three past lives where it has to do with the issues that we're dealing with, and then I come back and I can negotiate from the past life, that you don't have to bring these lessons forward anymore. That was then and this is now, and you can let go of all of this. It's okay to let go of it, and then we replace it with something. It's just like when you do a clearing on yourself. If you do an energy healing, you have to replace it with something good because life is, energetic field and quantum is like a vacuum. Um, once you remove the bad, you have to put the good in. That's how it works energetically. And so it's the same thing. So we replace it with new behaviors. And I'm going to talk to you about soul purpose versus job in a minute, okay?
Lolly,
Um,
I'm gonna check in real quick. You had said if they had any questions, and we had more people join in,
okay.
and I'm gonna
Okay.
reset that room.
Okay.
Um, yeah, let me just check. If you guys, you just joined us in Clubhouse, I'm gonna pull a refresh. And if you're new to the room, my name's Lisa Huber with the Divine I Am, and you're listening to Lolly Jane. She's an animal communicator, and you can watch her now on that link pinned above. And I wanted to ask anybody on stage. We have Nettie and Elisa and Shauna and Nancy. Welcome to Susan. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to flash your mic. Yes. Hi, Shauna. Go ahead, honey.
Hi.
Hi,
I'm back.
Shauna.
Sorry. I have a very, I mean, okay, so I have a very energetic boy. Um, he's been
A human, an animal. What are we talking about?
um dog.
Dog. Okay. Boy dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
boy dog. Sorry, I always just call him my boy because
Yep.
that's what he is.
He could be a horse. I don't know.
He's rotten. That's what he is.
Oh.
And I used to practice this thing years and years ago where I read a book on animal communication, and the book instructed me to lay down in a very quiet place, and this was when I had cats, um, and let them come to me and communicate with me, and I did this, and I got results.
Wow.
Hey, that's awesome.
And it was really cool, you know. But I don't know, my dog. I have a very good I have a very good relationship, that I think that I do anyways, with RJ. Um, but sometimes it's like, dude, just listen to me, okay? Just listen. Calm down a minute and listen. That's kind of, and I think that's what he's saying to me too sometimes. Just mom, just listen. But and I think a lot of times with him and I, we're just both going, just listen, and and lines get crossed.
It sounds
And
like you guys are mirroring each other.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yes. Because you're telling him to listen, and he's telling you to listen. You're like butting heads. Hey, listen to me. Hey, listen to me. So I'm gonna do formal training. I'm gonna do training for people that don't want to do professional. They just want to learn how to talk to their animals more. And then I'm gonna do a professional path and do training. I think I'm gonna start that in October. So just keep in touch with me. We'll give you the how to find me at the end.
Hmm.
Um, but
okay,
I would say the biggest thing that I would say is you have to put the question out there and then just stop. Just shut your mind
Okay.
off. Okay? Because once if you got too many judgments about things, like when I do a communication session, like if I may think it's one thing, and sometimes I'm shocked because I still think, I try to clear my mind of judgments, but sometimes it's nothing to do with what your human intelligent mind thinks. And sometimes
Right.
you're completely off base. So like you literally have to, you know, ask, put a question out there, and then let them answer. And you literally have to shut your own mind off and just allow it to come. And I think, the training and why my training was so good is because, well, we had to do a million cases and get results, confirmed results from people. But because I learned to, hone in on these finer details of telepathy, like a lot of training is, a week long. Like a lot of training schools out there, they're a week long or a weekend, and that's it. That's all the training you get. And then when you go to actually do it, there's those issues, like what you're talking about. Where you could have sort of, you were sort of hitting on it, like in the training, but then when you go to do it on your own, you're like, well, I'm not quite getting it, So I'm definitely going to do training with mentoring, where you have me as a mentor, because that's really important. But I would say, like, from your situation, it just sounds like I would say allow the thoughts to float in. And you're going to get it different ways than I'm going to get it next versus another animal communicator. You know what I mean? You're going to hear it differently. You might just get it in image, and that's the answer. Your answers might just come in images, not audio. I'm clairaudient. Okay, so I'm a channel. I can talk to the angelic realm. I can talk to the body innates, so I can do body talk. I didn't go to school for this. It's just natural. So I'm a channel, so I'm clairaudient, and because I don't hear in this realm so good, I hear in other dimensions. So I can hear dog whistles. I can hear high frequencies. I can hear a lot of audio. So I get direct audio, and I love that because I get the personality of the animal. Because
Yes.
I get to tell people what their personality of their animals like. They crack jokes with me. They flirt with me. I talked to a Malayan sun bear at the Honolulu Zoo, and I kid you not, this bear was actually flirting with me and cracking jokes like a stand-up comic. And then when I went back to the zookeeper, I'm like, he's kind of like flirting with me. She's like, yes, he does that. He does the same thing. Yes, he does that with me. Like he'll
Hey,
rub up against me.
hey, Lolly, do you ever find you're getting ready to talk to an animal and their accent just totally throws you off? Like I
Oh my God. I love that question.
bet.
Yes. Yes. Wow. It's like people. It's amazing.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
they don't talk to me in French or Spanish or whatever, but they have accents. Yes, they have
Mhm.
dialects. It's like the craziest and the personality.
Mhm.
I'll share with you some of the zoo animal stuff, okay?
Oh, yes,
So
please.
I'm gonna get to that in a minute because that was the most profound stuff for me, was the messages for humanity. The messages for humanity from the zoo animals and the different personalities. And
Wow.
like I talked to Asian elephant, and
Mhm.
she was like this, she had this voice
Mhm.
like Kuan Yin or like a divine goddess. She had
Oh,
this
wow.
gentle, soft,
Mhm.
divine, beautiful demeanor
Mhm.
a feminine voice, and it's
Mhm.
amazing to me the differences. It's just like talking to a human,
I
the
gotta
differences in
I got
personality.
I gotta tell you, I was in the restroom and I have a kitty. Well, we have 6 of them and we have 3 black cats, and this one black cat, she found us. And I thought, well, everybody's out of the house. The TV's not on. I don't have a radio. And I heard, oh boy. And she ran up the steps, slid in the hallway, and ran into me, right up to me. And I went, I heard you. But
That is
she had
that's
little,
so awesome, isn't it?
she had this cute little girl voice. Yeah,
That
yeah.
is so awesome. So the way, if you get to the truth of the matter, like what this really is
Mhm,
it's your third eye and your upper chakras being open.
mhm,
Because I do energy healing, I understand all the what's behind this. I've
mhm.
been doing the pranic healing for 13 years.
Right.
So once you reach a certain vibrational state, we're all telepathic.
Mhm,
So back to telepathy, which I didn't share with you, is um, Carol Gurney says animal communication is not a gift. It's not a gift at all. It's a skill, a human skill. Telepathy is how we, how animals communicate and how we communicate.
mhm,
So the only difference is we haven't been trained in it. We train to do the opposite. In school, we lost the ability to use the throat chakra. The throat chakra has been blocked forever because the throat chakra. I use a different system, so I don't use like the 7 chakras. There's actually 12.
mhm.
There's 11 to 12, depending on. There's actually 144 if you want to get technical, but I
Right.
don't use the 7 chakra. The 7 chakra system is like kindergarten. Okay,
Mhm,
so once you graduate from kindergarten, you have a higher knowledge. So the higher knowledge chakras beyond the general public is 11 to 12, and then the minor chakras, which are also called meridians, comes to
mm,
144.
right.
So the chakras, when I name the chakras, I don't use numbers because we don't use the same numbering system. So the throat chakra is your spiritual truth. That's your spiritual truth center. Okay, that's the blue ray. That's Archangel Michael. That's the blue ray, and that's the chakra of communication. That's the one for your ears, for your throat, for speaking your spiritual truth. And then once you go higher, is your ajna chakra right here. Your ajna is the master chakra, and so the ajna and then the forehead chakra. Those are the third eyes. Okay, that's where you have clairvoyance, clairaudience, all the clairs. The clairs live there. These two are where the clairs live. So if those chakras are activated and open, you're going to be clear everything. Okay. I used to be clairvoyant. I grew up clairvoyant. And I think I shut it down because it was, I used to have what looked like a computer monitor would pop up in my head all of a sudden. It was like,
Mhm,
it was like something from a spaceship or something. I'd
mhm,
be like doing whatever, and I
mhm,
would literally see this square monitor pop up, and there would be an image in it, a moving image, and it would show me what's gonna take place in the future. And
mhm,
like one time, I saw a flipped over car. Like I'm driving on a freeway, I see the computer monitor popped up. I see a flipped over car, and then I kind of come on this pretzel on ramp. I get to the top of it. There's a whole accident scene with a flipped over car right there.
mhm,
And so I used to be really clairaudient, but I'm not. I mean clairvoyant, but I'm not clairvoyant anymore. I don't know if I shut it down myself or it shut down so I could become more clairaudient
clairaudient.
because
Mhm,
I became a lot more clairaudient and um the clairvoyance thing kind of scares me because then you can see all these beings walking around when you're sleeping on your bed,
mm.
and so I don't know if I want that one yet. I have all these beings that come to me at night, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to see you. Hearing
It's
you is
funny.
bad enough.
Yeah, yeah, and I've talked to people about that, and there are people that I'm friends with that are like, "I'd love to see, this or that," and I'm like, "No, I don't wanna see any beings, but
I
I do
know,
see
right?
energy." But because
Like
I think because we say you don't wanna see it, you don't see it.
I know, right? Like that veil is lifting. I'm like, can I get clear before the veil lifts, please?
Yeah, yeah.
you know? Okay, so then the crown chakra. So then the crown chakra, right? So that's your divine cord. So I apologize if you know this already. Okay, so you have this Joe Blow off the street, right? That's not spiritually developed. They have like a little thin hair. It's like it's literally like a hair is coming off their crown chakra, and that's all the information they get. Okay, they get a hair. They're not being fed with spiritual divine knowledge because your soul, your I am presence, and your soul is up there. It's about 12 feet above your head, unless you have embodied it. Why? Because our bodies, um, your soul is such a big light. You can't shove it into our physical bodies here on the density of the planet Earth unless you've gotten to a very high vibrational state within the body so it can encapsulate all the light. Okay, I did not do that until maybe last year, where I actually, um, my physical body and my light body are one. Okay, but most people, it's 12 feet above your head, and then higher yet is God. You know, you're a divine spark. It's connected to your I am presence, your higher soul, and then that feeds information into your crown chakra, into your body, into your heart, out your hands, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you're Joe Blow off the street, you have a hair. Okay, that's it. The more you develop spiritually, and the higher your vibrational state goes, the that little hair gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so you're being fed more spiritual information, bigger and bigger and bigger. And so if we measure, like if I measure, I'm not going to measure mine, but like if I was to measure somebody else's, it's like a telephone pole or even bigger. Okay. And you're getting this huge deluge and downloads all the time, which is hence the ringing of the ears, has nothing to do with COVID or the vaccine. It's downloads. Okay. So you're being fed with spiritual information and you're going to have all the clairs, everything's going to open up for you, and the telepathy will just be natural. It'll be our natural state of being. You may not even need to take a class on it. Okay. So back to animal communication. We kind of went off on the spiritual healing transit.
Love it.
Or
Yeah, I know.
that's okay. It's all knowledge.
That's right.
Okay, so back to I wanted to talk to you about soul purpose versus jobs. Okay, so different. Okay, so an animal will come in, and like when I do sessions with the animals, I always ask that, even if the person doesn't give me that as a question. I always ask, "What's your soul purpose in this lifetime, in this incarnation?" Because you will get amazing amount of information. Okay, and they will have all kinds of soul purposes, but they always, always have to do with service to the humans. It's amazing. They really are. They really are our service dogs, our service animals, emotional support. So the domestics that are with us in our daily life, excuse me, I don't know why I'm hiccuping. Some animal's like throwing itself in me. I am empathic too. I get stuff. I had a horse drop me to the ground
Oh,
telling me that it had pain and it needed a healing. And I called their person. I'm like, I think your horse needs a healing. They're like, yeah, my horse is lame. So threw me on the ground. I'm
oh my
standing there
goodness.
on the ground in the street on the phone. She goes, okay, I'll do a healing. The pain came right out of me as soon as she said yes.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, back to soul purpose. So the animals that are our domestics, their sole purpose is to be in service to us, to help us through our lives, to help us through our lessons, to mirror us. And I mean full on, full on mirror us. And I'm going to talk about mirroring next because I don't want to go off on another tangent. Okay. So, soul purpose. So, those are the domestic soul purposes. They are helping with family issues and personal issues. Okay. And then the animals who are in human care, we used to call this in captivity, but they call it in human care. So the animals that are in the zoos or in rescue centers or on social media or whatever, the ones that are front and center, the ones that, especially the zoos that you walk by and you go, oh my God, how horrible. How can they do this to an animal? Blah, blah, blah. Multiple animals in human care have told me that they chose this incarnation. They chose to be incarnated where they knew that they were going to either be rescued or captured. They were going to be in front of the humans and they were going to be teachers for humanity. They are huge teachers for humanity, but thoroughly pissed off right now because they're not being acknowledged and they're not being heard, and people do not believe in animal communication. I would say 50%, if that, maybe 25% of the population believes in it. But I encounter people every day where it's just a battle, where they're never going to believe in it. And these are people that work with animals every single day, including adoption agencies. They don't believe in animal communication. Okay, so, well, you know that. So I am writing 2 books right now. I'm writing a book about knowledge, all about, what I'm sharing with you today, and then another book called Messages for Humanity that these amazing creatures have shared with me.
Oh,
And their
wonderful.
divine knowledge, way beyond humans. Somebody asked me once, what's the most unintelligent animal? And I'm like, by far the humans. By far. The animals have shared with me knowledge that they should never know. Number one, they've told me that I'm hard of hearing. They've told me personal stuff about me. Other people's animals have shared with me personal things about myself. And they've told me things about the knowledge of the earth, geological knowledge, history of the earth, history of Antarctica, the Arctic, woolly mammoths, all this stuff. I mean, amazing, intelligent stuff that, like, you would only think you know from a book. So they're way beyond us. They're higher. They're oneness. We are one is, spiritual thing that I have learned is the oneness is really, really true. And we really are one. And the difference between the humans and the animals is the humans have shut that divine nature down. That, we are connected in one. You are not the body, you are not the mind, you are the soul. You are God. You literally are the soul, and your body is a vehicle, just a vehicle. It's your AI Earth vehicle. That's all it is. There's nothing about the body that is connected in one. It's the soul that is connected in one. Our body is just like, a body bag or an AI robot. Um, so so let me talk about so the soul animal, the job versus the sole purpose. Okay, so if we look at the domestic animals, the thing that I also ask them, so the next question I ask them is if they're having behavioral issues, then I'll ask them this question: what is your job? Because sometimes the animal's job and the animal's sole purpose are completely incongruent. And they'll tell me their job, and then I will ask, did you assign yourself that job or did somebody else assign you this job? Okay, this is a huge component and important. So sometimes they assign themselves, they'll say, I assign myself this job. And I'll say, oh, why? Why do you have this? Let's take aggression or let's take overprotectiveness. So if it goes back to, oh, because, in the last lifetime, my person got killed or harmed or maimed and I didn't take care of them enough and I did such a bad job and I did such a horrible job. So I had to come back in this lifetime and I have to do better because I didn't do a good job in that lifetime. So my purpose is to be really protective. I have to protect my person and make sure nobody comes in between me and my person, So like if you have a relationship or a spouse or a boyfriend or husband or wife or your girlfriend and the animal gets in between you two, there that could be why. Or if you're going on a walk and they get very vicious and in attack mode for no reason and you don't know why, it's always aggression. That's why. But there's also mirroring. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so if they say that they did not assign themselves this job and somebody else did, I go, oh, who assigned it to you? I find out who in the family. And sometimes a person inadvertently will have assigned an animal a job. Okay, so if if I see that the job and the sole purpose are completely incongruent, then I will reassign them a job. And the way I work with behavioral and obedience and aggression, it's like magic. It's not magic, but compared to like obedience training, which I laugh at, because animals have told me that they go to human training after they pass. It's a whole nother subject. But
Wow.
um I laugh at it because animals have shared with me that after they pass, they're in human training school, and I go, why are you in human training school? Oh, because we have to train because I'm coming back and I have to find out how to take care of my human. And I've had more than one animal tell me that they're in human training school up there in the heaven realm
I love
before
it.
they reincarnate. Yeah, isn't that cool?
It is.
So I'm like, the audacity of us to send an animal to obedience training. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the way I work with behavioral issues is what I'm talking about now. So I'll work with, the job versus the sole purpose and where do they come from, and I'll negotiate with them. But first, we have to talk about mirroring because that's another aspect of this. Okay, and then I'll reassign them the job. I'll go, well, hey, how would you like to do your sole purpose? So if they tell me their sole purpose is, to protect their person and they're being overprotective, like aggressive overprotective, I'll say, hey, how would you like to protect your person by reducing stress in the household? How would you like to do that? Because that's really protective. That'll protect your person's health and heart and everything. How would you like to bring laughter into the household? And that'll really protect your person because your person won't be stressed anymore. So they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. And so I'll reassign them a job at how to train, how to bring laughter into the household, how to make them laugh. My God, they stopped doing the aggression right after that. It's like instant. It's amazing.
I
Um,
love that.
highly successful.
The-
I had a client where they adopted a foster who was very aggressive when walking, and I actually took them for a walk to see how aggressive. And let me tell you, the two of us could not hold the dog back and practically ripped my arm out of the socket. And so we did this kind of thing. We did an animal communication session with the job and the sole purpose and reassigning the job and finding out if there was mirroring going on. And lo and behold, this animal turned into a different being like within a couple of weeks. I had to train the person. So most of the issues with animal communication is me retraining the person, not the animal.
Oh,
So then I
wow.
have to retrain the person how to act differently, how to put different thoughts out there in the universe, how to send
Hmm.
those thought forms out differently. Okay? And within a week or two, I swear to God, this was my neighbor's. This was a neighbor where I can go visit the animal. This animal, like all of her friends, is like, "Is this the same animal that you?" I can't believe this is the same animal. Completely different demeanor. I mean, never got aggressive on walks ever again. Just sweet. You could kiss this animal on the lips. I mean,
Oh,
like completely non aggressive, completely changed. Will never go back. Amazing. So
Lolly.
let's talk about mirroring. Does anybody have any questions before I talk about mirroring?
Yeah, let me just check in to
Okay.
see. I noticed. Hi, Robin. Lolly's not doing animal readings, but she is going over talking to animals, and it's just been wonderful. If you missed anything in the beginning, yeah, because she was asking about a message, I just want to let you know. But you can always connect with Lolly.
Yes, and the reason I
Mhm.
don't want to do I'm not in love with doing live sessions like that because
Right,
I get to the root of the problem.
right.
I will sometimes, I am not kidding. Like I don't charge by the hour. I charge 150, but you're getting about $800 worth of communication because what I
Mhm.
do is I will deeply go into the deep and root issues and excavate, like my teacher Master Co said, I excavate and I get to the root of stuff where you're not going to have these issues anymore. It's not going to be surfacey, 2-second conversation with an animal going hello, goodbye. My animal's doing this cutesy thing. Why is it?
Right.
Because it's like having a conversation with a human. You're not going to share like deep information with me until I talk to you and you get to know me for about 20 minutes. So after about 20 minutes of me talking to an animal, I get like this profound knowledge that they give me and why they're doing this with a human. It's actual conversation. So that's why I don't like to do the surfacey stuff because you're not really getting how profound the animal communication is. And so
No.
I talk to the animals for a minimum of 2 hours remotely before I ever meet them.
Hmm.
So I have talked to a horse for 4 hours
Wow.
without stopping, without even, and then I have the human session. So then you and I have our session for about an hour and a half. I give you all the notes. I'll give you like 8 or 10 pages of notes. You don't have to record me. You'll have the notes forever. And if you want me to like chime in with your animal really quickly, if you didn't get everything answered, I can do that. But I rather you have an actual, like, amazing, awesome session. If you want me to say hi to your animal, like we can do this at the end and ask like one little quick question with a picture. I can try to do that. But like I said, it's not my preference.
Right. Right.
I rather do the interspecies therapy work with
And
both
you
of you.
do, and you do need a picture as well. I know you'd mentioned
Yeah, I
that.
need a
Yeah,
picture.
and that's
Yeah.
kind of hard on here.
Let me mention that. So that's how I call in the animal.
Hmm.
So I look at their picture and I call them up by name and the connection to the person. If they have a keeper, I'll say, your keeper so and so. If it's a person, your person ask if we could chat. I don't throw judgments at them. I don't go, your person said you're doing this. I ask the person what the behaviors are,
Right.
not what they think it is. Because sometimes the person will go, my dog has anxiety. And I'll go, show me the behaviors. What are the behaviors? Why do you think your dog's anxious?
Right.
And they'll name all these behaviors, and it comes out that the dog's not anxious at all. They're showing you
Lolly,
something.
excuse me, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say Hunter just joined us and Amanda, welcome. And we were just discussing with Loli Jane. She's the animal communicator, and you're listening to her now. You can catch her on that YouTube link. If you had any questions, please feel free to flash your mic about talking to animals. I just wanted to make sure, since they popped in, that they know what was going on. And can I ask you a quick question while it's on my mind?
Absolutely.
And it's about mirroring. And I'm just curious, does an animal sometimes come down and they are not just for that person, but for that family? Because there's a dynamic in the family where, for instance, I have two teenage boys and my husband, and they have their own energy going on. And, I often wonder the mirroring, if it's affecting the animals. I try to keep it a peaceful, but, two teenage boys can get a little rowdy. I was just curious how that works.
Absolutely. They can mirror a person or they can mirror like a family dynamic
Yeah.
between. I had a
That's
client with those same issues,
Yep.
and I don't really want to share their information because their
No, no, no.
information is kind of private. But
Yep.
um, absolutely. Let's talk about mirroring because it's
Yes,
not
yeah,
always mirroring. Don't assume it's mirroring.
right.
But let me share a mirroring story with you because this
Mhm.
is mind blowing. It really is. So they can mirror our just like our children or spouses can mirror us. They can mirror us and they can mirror our emotions. They can mirror an emotional state. They can mirror anxiety. They can mirror depression, but they can also mirror something physical. They can mirror actual illnesses and diseases that
Mhm.
are not theirs.
Mhm.
And you could take them to the vet until you're blue in the face and spend thousands of dollars and go to 10 different vets and get treatments. And guess what? You're treating the wrong one.
Mhm.
So let me share this case with you because this is so amazing to me.
Mhm.
Okay, so I had a client with a cat with an impacted bowel. Okay, so they took for a long time. They went to different vets. They got treatments. They got colonics. They got enemas and all kinds of stuff. It was getting worse and worse and worse. Impacted bowel. It was getting like dangerously worse.
Mm.
And this went on for a long time. I don't know, a year, 6 months, something like that. So they contacted me and I asked the animal. Like I said, it won't always be mirroring. I ask them. I don't say, "Are you mirroring your person?" I ask them something to the effect like if they tell me, I'll ask them why they think they have a certain ailment. What's going on with you emotionally? What's going on with you physically? And why do you think you have this? What's going on with your pooper that you can't poop? What's going on down there? And sometimes they'll know, but like even like we don't know sometimes why we have something. So
Mhm.
they're not always going to know. They're not always going to have a diagnosis for you. They're not necessarily going to know that there's cancer. They don't know the word cancer or impacted bowel or whatever.
Mhm.
But they'll tell me what's going on with their pooper and why they think it's, and sometimes, so I say, why do you think it's going on? And sometimes they'll go, because of dot, 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 and, or I don't know. And then if they say I don't know, I say, are you trying to show or tell me something about your person? That's how I
Mhm.
ask. Okay. Are you trying to show or tell me something about your person? So that's the path that we go down. So if they say yes, then I ask a whole lot of questions after that. What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to tell me about your person? And so the cat with the impacted bowel. So they proceeded to tell me that they didn't know why they had it. I don't know what's going on with my pooper. And I've had my pooper problem for a long time.
Mm.
And are you trying to show or tell me something? Yes. Um, what are you trying to show or tell me? Oh, well, I want to tell my person something. What do you want to tell your person? So then proceeded to tell me it has to do with her and her mother and her mother's mother. She didn't tell me any of this. The human being did not share any of this with me. I keep the information that you give me to a minimal. I'm like, don't share too much with me. Don't feed the animal communicator. Tell me what the issues are and then stop talking.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to know everything because then
Right.
I go into it with judgment.
Mhm.
So she didn't share that with me. She just said my cat. So what the cat shared with me, it has to do with her female family lineage. The female family lineage. And it had to do with her being mad at her mother and her mother being angry at her mother and her mother's mother being angry at her mother. So I had no knowledge of this whatsoever.
Wow.
So I called the client back and I said, "So your cat had some interesting information. Your cat shared with me that it has to do with the female family lineage." And those were the words. I mean, I get like some, you know, very complex words from animals, which will blow
Mhm.
your mind.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it had to do with female family lineage. And I go, "Do you have an impacted bell too? Your cat told me that you did." "Yeah, I do." "Wow." She's like, "Wow." And I go, "Do you talk to your mother?" She goes, "No, I haven't talked to my mother in a long time. I'm mad at her. We don't communicate at all." And I go, "What about, does your mom have an impacted bell?" "Yes, she does too." "Does your mom angry at her mother?" "Yes, she doesn't talk to her mother either." I go, "What about your mother's mother, the
Mhm.
grandmother?" "No, same thing. She doesn't talk to her mother, angry at her mother." Well, they
Mhm.
passed
Mhm.
obviously, but she was mad at her mother. She
Mhm.
had an impacted bowel. She wasn't still alive, but she had the same issue. I said, "Well, guess what? This is a case of mirroring, and your cat is mirroring you so well that your cat has a very severe impacted bowel, which they could take one for the team. Your animals can mirror you so well, they will pass for you. They will
Mhm.
pass on and take and let you live
Mm.
to take some of your stuff. That's where this amazing service is.
Mhm.
So it's not always the case,
Mhm.
but I ask. So then we have to negotiate, renegotiate. And what I do is I immediately thank the animal. Oh my God, what a gift you are. What a gift you are for your person
Right.
and your person's person and your person's person and your person's mother to mirror all of the females. So you like literally took on their bowel issues and
Right.
their anger issues.
Mhm.
So then I go back to the person and say, guess who we need to work on,
Mhm.
not the animal. So if you're trying to, go to the vet, go to the vet, go to the therapist, go to the behaviorist, go to the animal obedience training, go to this, go to that, you're never going to get a solution. That's why I do deep, um, rooted, you know,
Right.
furry family therapy work because I'd rather go on the soul level and really help you on that level. So that's the kind of work I do.
Mhm.
Um, so I do soul healing to humans too. So people have asked me, can you heal humans? Can you heal their humans and help their humans? So yes, I deal with the soul level. I can channel your angels. I can channel your guides. I can help you introduce to your guides and angels if you're not doing that already. I can help you do body talk where you're connecting with your chakras and your organs and all that stuff. And I can help you with being guided to help with the soul level healing and the clearing.
Mhm.
So we did a session. We did a forgiveness session. So we went through this whole forgiveness, clearing, healing thing. She called me about a couple weeks later. She goes, "You're not going to believe it." She goes, "The impacted bowel and the cat completely, completely went away. No
Oh,
treatment
that's
at
wonderful.
all. Nothing. No
Mm.
essential oils. No more. No more anything. No
Mhm.
more colonics, no more, you know, coffee enemas and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Amazing. Just by forgiving her mother. And she told me she talked to her mother, and her mother then forgave her mother. And it just was
That's
this beautiful
wonderful.
healing.
Mhm.
And if you know this fact, this is an amazing, like, when we heal ourselves, we are healing 7 generations back and 7 generations forward.
Mhm.
So if you understand that past, present, and future is not a timeline, it's all
Right.
happening at the same time in different dimensions. So it's all happening in the now, right? Power of now. So
Mhm.
if it's all happening in the now, we can affect the past and we can affect the future because it's not a straight timeline. It's
Mhm.
not like it already happened and the future is not written. So it's all happening in different dimensions. That's why we have these deja vu kind of things, because we're
Mhm.
dipping into the different dimensions. We're multidimensional. We do it all day long.
Right.
We don't have ADHD. We're multidimensional beings.
Mhm.
It's not ADHD. It's that
Right.
you're, going into all these different dimensions and doing all this work at the same time. You're a little distracted. You don't need Adderall.
I know.
Okay, so you, when you heal yourself via the help of this profound service animal that has come to incarnate with you in this lifetime, to be of service to you, to take one for the team, to mirror this, wow. And then you heal yourself because now you know, and you are affecting 7 generations backwards and 7 generations forward to the
Mhm.
past, the future, and all the DNA is healed.
Mhm.
Wow. So, guess
Yes.
what? You're in the future. Your future selves are in the future. Your future animals that are going to incarnate with you again are in the future. So, when you reincarnate and do that cycle again, that issue won't be there
Hmm. Mhm.
forever, forever in the now, right? Is that
Mm.
profound? That's
Wonderful.
profound.
Mm.
So
Can I
amazing.
can I
Sure.
ask you, and where did they tell you about the 7 levels forward, the 7 levels back?
That okay, so pranic healing is esoteric teachings.
Right.
So pranic healing goes back to the ancient mystery schools. and
Mhm.
esoteric teachings. It goes
Mhm.
back to ancient India and China and the Philippines, but it goes back further because it's actually esoteric teachings. And
Mm.
there's eight right now. There's eight masters left
Mhm.
worldwide, globally. I've studied under three of them.
Okay.
So Grandmaster Choa Koksui
Mhm.
is the creator of Pranic healing, but it wasn't creating, it was remembering. But he
Right.
passed away in 2007. He's in spirit form, but
Mhm.
I talk to him every day. I call him in, whether I'm doing a healing, animal communication, all of that. And his
Right.
teacher, Mahaguchi Mei. So these are ancient teachings, and we have a lot
Yeah.
of um, teachings that are given to us by the masters worldwide.
Mhm.
Um, that they teach us some esoteric things, and that was one of them.
Wow.
So 7 generations forward, 7 generations back.
That's
That
awesome.
wasn't, yeah, amazing, amazing.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so what's our next? Do we have any questions? And then let me figure out
Let
what
me
I want to talk about next.
let me just check. I'm looking in the feeds, guys. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Twitch, and you have a question, please pop that in the comments, and I'm gonna check in Clubhouse. I don't see anybody flashing their mics. Hi, Lady B. I just sent an invite, but no pressure to come up on stage if you just want to listen. I don't see any questions yet. Hmm.
Okay, okay. Welcome all the new people. We're doing like a 2 hour talk.
It's wonderful. So much
Lots of info.
information. Yeah, please feel free, whatever platform you're on, you can go back and catch the replay, and I highly recommend. A lot of information, guys. Hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to share with you a story about one of the zoo animals. So I used to live in Hawaii, so I do pro bono work for Honolulu Zoo remotely.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. So please don't ask me to do pro bono work for you because I do enough.
Right, right.
Okay, so I'm going to share the story of Rusty. So Rusty is a male orangutan, and Rusty is in the Honolulu Zoo. He's Sumatra, Borneo, and I forget the backstory, but I think his backstory is a poaching story where he was rescued from poachers
Hmm.
as a baby, and then he ended up in one zoo and then transferred to another zoo. I think that's his backstory.
Hmm.
Um, but he has a mate. His mate's name is Violet. So he had a couple of issues, a lot of issues. He was very aggressive, very violent, and was actually throwing temper tantrums. The vets and the keepers, they had to do a health screening for him, and he was around age 40. And just like human males, they get heart disease around that age, so they have to do health screening. And he was not allowing them. He was throwing temper tantrums, highly aggressive, and also beating up Violet, like beating her up.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I had a
Hmm.
conversation with him. I also talked to Violet. And so I found out a lot about him, but he was like, he told me this is going in multiple books too. He
Hmm.
was the analytical one. He has an analytical, scientific mind, very intellectual, very analytical, and literally broke stuff down, like you would if you were left brain accountant.
Hmm.
And the conversation was just very, very intelligent, like
Hmm.
talking to an intelligent human being.
I love it.
Um, so he told me that he got in his mind that he's a protector. His role is as protector. He's a male, right? Male dominant. And he somehow got in his mind that male dominance equals aggression. That's the only thing. He was like, like the male, like machismo kind of guy.
Hmm.
He couldn't reconcile that there was another way until we talked through it. And so we had this long conversation about the aggression toward Violet, his mate, who he told me he loved dearly, loved her, loved her, loved her. and why is she so mad at him? And I said, well, you're beating her up for one. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I talked to Violet, and Violet actually punched him. And I said, Violet, what's going on? Violet was like this divine being also, and very gentle. And what's going on, Violet? Violet said, I got sick of it, and I turned around and I punched him. Just like I feel like I'm talking to like a domestic violence couple.
Right.
So I had to convince. We had a long talk, with Rusty. I had to convince Rusty that there's a different way to take care of the family. He said, I take care of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a different way to take care of the family besides the kind of dominance that you're used to. So he kind of like, I want to say, absorbed this thought form. There are things that are out there in our floating multiverse that are overarching thought forms, and they're incorrect. One of them is, the male dominance. You don't have to be dominant to be masculine. And there's
Right.
a thought form that's, you think a thought, it goes out like a bubble, but there's a big giant bubble out there. And so, that's what, the non divine masculine that does not know that you can drop the masculinity and the dominance and all of that stuff is
Mm-hmm.
kind of picking up on this thought form that's out there. Okay. And when we go into the higher and higher dimensions, these thought forms are going to be completely disintegrated because they're not in line with higher vibration.
Right.
Not in line with 5D. We're already in 4D, but it's not in line with 5D and higher.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be disintegrated. But right now, like racism is a thought form.
Right.
So, people pick up on these mass thought forms besides the thought forms that they create. So I understand, so I had to negotiate with him and, discuss what it is to be a male and what it is to be as a protector, that you can protect in another way and so on and so forth. And then we had a long conversation about that they need I literally told him, like, you can't lie to animals. That's what I'm gonna talk next about, lying to animals.
Mm-hmm.
Lying authenticity. Okay. I'm taking notes. Okay, so I'm taking notes for you. Okay, so Rusty and I talked about, you know, that he could do this a different way, and I talked to him about this health check. I talked to him about the heart disease that takes place in the older primates, including humans, and why they needed to get a health screening, and what they were going to do with his blood, what they were going to do with it, and how he would get the information back, and they're just caring for him, and so on and so forth. So we talked about that, and I asked him at the end, messages for humanity. Do you have any messages you want to share with the humans? I ask them their sole purpose and their job and all that stuff. So I have like 8 or 10 pages from communication talking to each of these animals.
Mm.
It's amazing. And they did share messages for humanity, which is going in my book. Um, so then I talked to the keeper. So I talked to the head zookeeper who I'm working with, and she does believe in animal communication. She used to be a marine mammal trainer, hired, contracted by the military to do all kinds of things with dolphins out in the open ocean.
Mm.
Hired by
Mm-hmm.
the military to train dolphins. Not SeaWorld, but the military using
Right.
dolphins. Okay, and I asked her if she's using telepathy, and she said, no, I wish. So she was using traditional methods of marine mammal training, but our military uses it. They did depth studies. Uh, they sent a dolphin 1,000 feet, or as deep as they can go um, with a styrofoam cup attached to them. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, the meter read 1,000 feet, and they came up and they had like a thimble on them. So because of the compression, it turned into a thimble. So they do all kinds of training with animals in the scientific realm. So telepathy is definitely scientific. There's lots of studies that I found, and it dates back to the ancient Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Aborigine culture,
Hmm.
the use of it. So I shared everything that Rusty had told me with her. She called me and she goes, "You're not going to believe this." She goes, "We did our vet check." And she goes, "Not only did Rusty not throw his toys, not throw a temper tantrum, not show any aggression whatsoever, but he put his arm through his sleeve that they had and he pointed to where he wanted the blood draw to the vet
Oh
tech."
my goodness.
Yes. Isn't that
Oh,
amazing?
that is wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. So amazing.
Mm,
So I
mm.
promised all of those animals that I would share their messages for humanity because, like I said, they chose these bodies. They chose to be in human care. They chose this incarnation to be in service to us, to elevate us, to make us aware, to captivate us, to awaken us, and they need to be acknowledged and heard, just like humans. We need to be acknowledged, we need to be loved, and we need to be heard, and so do the animals.
Mhm.
And the next thing I want to share with you, do we have any questions?
Let me just check. I know I don't see any in our feed, but let me just check. Sean is with us. Sean, are you there?
I'm here. I'm just really super interested in what you're saying.
I know it.
Um,
And I
It's
saw you changed.
fascinating, isn't it?
yes, I changed my
I
pictures
love it.
to two of my dogs.
Hmm.
Um, because they're just lovey.
So sweet.
Um, um, but yeah, I would like to eventually have a session with you on all three of my babies.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah.
That would
I
be great.
have a bird, two cats, and three dogs.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. See,
Animal
you're an
lover.
animal mama.
Yes. That's
I
I mean,
am.
you have animals for a reason.
That's why that's why I said my boy in the beginning.
mm-hmm.
Is because that's exactly what he is. He's my boy, aren't you? And I mean, um, and he's bossy. Right now, you're getting ready to hear him. Yeah,
He's
see,
bossy. I love it. Well, because he's trying to talk to us. He's like, wait a second. I think a communicator is talking. Oh my God. Let me share this with you. This is really cool.
I love it.
Okay, so this blew my mind too. This is
Mhm.
like one of those woo. Okay, so when I talked to the zoo animals, so I talked to the first one, and then when I went to talk to the second one, there's a lag time in between, right? So when I went to talk to the second one, they're like, before, because I introduced myself. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Loli. I'm an animal communicator. I talk to animals. I is it okay if we chat? You're so and so zookeeper. So and so by name. Wanted to find out how you're feeling, if you're comfortable, what you need to be comfortable, all that stuff. So when I went to talk to like the second and the third and so on and so forth, animals, and I do that initial introduction, they cut me off before I even said, "Hi, I'm Loli." And they're like, "We know, we've been in line. We've been waiting for you. Where have you been?" I'm like, "What?" They said, "Yeah, the other so and so animal told me that I could talk to you, that you would talk to us." Because honest to God, they may have been in human care forever, for a long time. I don't know how long, I don't know the whole backstories on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never been heard or acknowledged ever, ever until now. This might be the first time ever that
Yeah.
they talked to an animal communicator. They're like, "Let's go!"
Yeah.
I talked to last a couple of weeks ago. I talked to a Sumatra tiger, and she is like, "I have been waiting for you for months to talk to you. What's going on?" Well, they just gave me her. to talk to. So I didn't even know I was supposed to talk to her. But apparently, they, the head zookeeper, kind of, totally like believes in animal communication, and I think she's kind of halfway there. She'll go to the animal and go, "Loli's going to talk to you," or so and so, or maybe not Loli, but an animal communicator is going to talk to you. There's other animal communicators that work with them. So I guess one of the students didn't end up talking to them, and that was like months ago, months and months and months ago. So the animal's like pissed off because they're like,
Yes.
how
Hmm.
when is my turn? So I
Right.
got to talk to the tiger, and they're like, I've been waiting for months to talk to you. I'm like, well, actually, no, that wasn't me. That was another communicator. Sorry. I go, but I'm here to listen to you now, and I'll, let's talk about everything that you want to talk about. So it's amazing. They get to be heard. They get to be acknowledged, and
Hmm.
then I get to help with the the humans, taking care of your own pets, or the zookeepers, or the rescue center caretakers, or whatever.
Hmm.
So, okay, so let's talk about authenticity.
Okay.
Okay, so somebody called me up once and said, I'm going to the vet and my animal's really nervous. Can you tell my animal that we're really going to a dog park? I love
Ooh.
these lessons. And I love like what comes in, because
Right.
when stuff comes to me, it's divine. It's like something that I need to learn. Like all the different types of animal cases that I've done, those came to me divinely because it was something I needed to learn, or something I needed to shift about myself.
Hmm.
So, so this animal, um, the authenticity. Okay, sorry, I got off track here. So the authenticity. So this person called me about, can you lie to my animal, basically? And I'm like, well, here's how it works. No, I can't,
Hmm.
because um, animals can read your thoughts, whether it's an image you're sending out, whether it's a smell you're sending out, whether it's an olfactory thing, whether it's a sound, whether it's a frequency, whether it's verbalization through words.
Hmm.
You send a thought bubble out, which is a thought form. Okay, well, guess what? They can read your thoughts. They're telepathic. So,
Hmm.
do you think you can lie with telepathy? No, you cannot. Can you tell an untruth? No, you cannot. You
Hmm.
cannot tell an untruth. So, guess what? I want to live in this world, don't you? I want to live in the new earth that
Yes.
we're creating, where we're all telepathic and nobody can lie to anybody else. And you're going to see everybody transparently for who they really are.
Hmm.
There will be no more lying. There will be no more deception. There will be no more, this fake marketing. I want to offer a class on conscious marketing,
Right. Right.
because like, be authentically you.
Hmm.
I mean, because you have such gifts to offer. So you cannot lie to an animal. It's an impossibility.
Hmm.
It can't be done. So I have to explain to the person, well, they can hear your thoughts, they can hear your thoughts. So even if you say verbalization, so even if you said, "Oh God, let's go to the dog park." Here, pick a name. Give me a dog name, or a cat name.
Sarge.
Sarge. Sarge, come on. Let's go in the car. Let's get in your cage. We're gonna go to the doggy park. We're gonna have treats and we're gonna have fun with the doggy park. The dog's like, I know where you're taking me, because I can hear your thoughts of the vet and your, nervousness about it. And
Hmm.
then not only will the dog be lied to, because let's pretend they never called me. Let's pretend you're the person. Okay? So you never called Loli for intervention on, how to talk to the animal. So you're actually trying to lie to your dog. Well, what's going to happen? If you are lied to, what do you feel? Can you see the chats, Lisa?
Yes. Yep. I'm looking in the chats.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I can't see anything.
Okay. Yeah. I don't see
So what do
anything,
you
but I
guys
can kind of.
feel if you're lied to? What do you feel?
What do you feel,
I get
Shauna?
mad.
Mm-hmm.
I get mad.
And you feel what? Betrayed, right? Betrayal.
Yeah.
So not only does do you feel irritated and mad that you're being lied to, but you feel completely betrayed. And I've had animals tell me, you can betray me once, twice, 3 times, I'm out. Run away. They don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like betrayal at all. It's not a good feeling to them because
Mm-hmm.
they're doing this huge service to be with you, and you're gonna betray them. Okay, so they don't like betrayal, and you feel lied to, you feel betrayed, and all the negative emotions that go with being lied to, and on top of that layering, right? Then the person's projecting anxiety. It's a thought form, right? So what
Mm-hmm.
do we do when we feel something? We project it and it goes out into the universe, and that energy is all around in our aura, it's in our chakras, it's being shared with other people because they're in our auras and we intermingle auras. So you're now, on top of that, you have anxiety because you're thinking about the vet and worried about shots and what he thinks about the shots and all this other stuff. So now they feel lied to, betrayed. Now they're picking up on your anxiety and they may be mirroring it back to you. So now they act anxious and act crazy and act despondent because you're lying to them, and all kinds of weird emotions come up. And so that's not the thing to do, even with your own animals. So you always want to speak the truth. I know it's not easy because in the human kingdom, which is the animal kingdom, but the
Mm-hmm.
way we live our 3D life, which is gone because we're in 4D right now. Um, the way we've been trained to talk to each other and through social media is even worse because now we just send people emojis.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
don't even speak anymore. We've lost our ability to use the throat chakra entirely with our
Right.
programming, with the programming in school, with the programming with the social media, and not knowing even how to communicate with each other. When you grow up texting, you don't know how to have a conversation with somebody. Not even a skill, right? I
It's
thank
the truth.
God. I thank God I grew up in the non and that I'm
Me
older and
too.
I didn't have cell phones or devices when I grew up because I learned how to actually talk.
Yes.
But I
Can I
have to
say that?
share something. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
I was going to say, and if you're highly sensitive or an empath, you know what we're talking about when somebody's lying to you. It's like, boom, you know. I mean, it's just, I know.
And sometimes you don't even know what you're feeling because sometimes you just feel something's not quite right, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
sure. And now, past the Lionsgate that we just went past,
Right.
and past all of this, high vibe, Schumann resonance, and all of that stuff. Um, and our vibrational states being lifted
Right.
is we're a lot more sensitive to that, I would say, and
Mm-hmm.
you can now tell very easily when people are
Yes.
telling untruths very
Yep.
quickly, like even much more, you know, uh, even though I always wanted to believe in the good in people, and so I wouldn't listen to that little
Right.
nudging. But
Right.
now, like for certain, I'm like, I walk away. I'm like, oh, you're just not telling me the truth.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
And can I just say real quick,
yeah.
also, if you're a people pleaser like I used to be, you might tell a little white lie not to hurt someone's feelings, and then it just catapults into something even more complicated because you told a white lie.
Yeah,
I don't
we're
do it
we're
anymore.
we're
Yeah.
trained to be people pleasers.
Yes.
I
Mhm.
mean, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so we
Right.
learn how to do little white lies, sugarcoat things, and
Mhm.
especially the people that we're closest to. The people that we're closest to, they're the ones that need us the most to tell them the
Right.
truth, even
Right.
if it's the horrible, honest truth. And I can't tell you how much communication skills I learned from
The animals.
the animals,
Yep.
and from not just the animals, but because I'm a different kind of animal communicator where I
Mhm.
do more therapeutic, like some animal
Right.
communicators, they just do like what a medium does, where they just
Right.
do. your doggy says this, your horse says this, who
Right.
belongs to that dog or horse or cat or whatever. With me, it's more therapeutic, so you get deeper into it. And I have to deliver messages that are like, how in the hell am I going to tell this person what their animal just told me? And be nice about it and be loving and kind and help this person. And I'll share something else with you.
Uh-huh.
But like I was a terrible communicator. Okay, I grew up deaf almost. I
Yeah.
was not a good communicator. My
Mhm.
throat chakra was completely blocked off. I was told by countless psychic after psychic after psychic that your lesson in this lifetime and the thing you need to overcome in this lifetime is your throat chakra. It's blocked, cut off, you've been choked, you've been hung, you've been violated, you've
Yep.
been, witch trials, you name it, I've done it. My throat chakra was just blocked. And I was, that's the ears, that's the throat, speaking your spiritual truth. I could never be myself. And then when I would try to communicate what was in my heart, it came out with like violent anger, really, like most of
Mhm.
my life, because I was like these angry animals that had never been heard or acknowledged for who I am. And I got tired of pretending I was somebody else when I wasn't.
Right.
And it it's been an evolution, but the animal communication, the lessons that came to me having to, number one, negotiate with the animal, but the biggest one are how to then share with the human
Relay.
being.
Yeah.
Wow. Like
Relay
I
that
came,
message. Mhm.
I honed my skill in communication. I learned how to speak my spiritual truth. I learned how to speak to others kindly and softly. I learned so much and so many skills that I did not have before. And it really shifted stuff. So let me share this story with you.
Mhm.
So, one of my sessions that I had was with a horse, and she said, "My horse doesn't like me. I don't know what happened, why my horse doesn't like me." I said, "Why do you think your horse doesn't like me?" She goes, "Because the horse always runs away from me." I always ask the behaviors. Remember, I said I don't say, "Why don't you like your human?" I always ask, "What are the behaviors?" And I ask them about those behaviors. So,
Right.
why do you have these behaviors? How do you feel about your human? Oh, I love my human. My human's so great. I love my human. So I said, "Well, why do you run away from your human when she comes near you, when she approaches you?" She said, "I don't like the others." "What others?" "Well, the others." I said, "Well, what are the others? What does the word the others mean?" "Well, the others," and then sent me images because I get all of it, right? I get the images
Right.
and the audio. So I can ask for clarification. If I get an image, I can clarify. If I get an audio, I can clarify. And sometimes they'll send me audio and images. So I get an image of like spirits around this person. And then I ask, "Did you mean to send me this image? Are you talking about like entities, like spirits?" And the horse is like, "Yeah, yeah, I don't like the others." Called it the others.
Mhm.
Sounds like a horror movie, right?
Yeah, I think there is one
"So
called
I
that.
love my person, but I don't like the others." I said, "Well, why does she have the others? Why are they around her?" And the horse told me why the others are around and told me, "Well, my person drinks a lot, like alcohol,
Mhm.
and she gets drunk a lot, and she does drugs a lot."
Mm.
And so I'm like, how am I going to tell this to the human?
Yeah.
Like, how to fix this? Like
Yeah.
you have to get rid of your entities because you're a drug addict.
Right.
Like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah, 'cause she's
Okay,
drawn.
so I delicately told the
Mhm.
person the truth
Mhm.
because I meditated on it. I'm like, it doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve the animal, and it doesn't serve the human for me to sugarcoat this
Mhm.
and cover it up. Because I do know animal communicators who do that. They don't.
Mhm.
They will take out some of the communication because
Right.
there's no way they're going to share it. I
Right.
will share it, okay? Because it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve a purpose of me getting to the root and the soul issues, right?
Right.
So sometimes I may have to tell the person things they do not want to hear, like working on themselves, like they got to do a chunk of work on themselves, or that they're, you know, having alcohol drug issues. So I delicately shared it with the person. I read a word for word notes
Mm-hmm.
and, also add to it when I'm talking to them. And she admitted, she said, I go in the, she's like, you had no way of knowing that. She goes, I go in the barn and I drink in front of the horse.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm having problems, I go in the barn and I get drunk. And she goes, I also do some drugs. And she said, I tried to run over my husband once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
So I help them because I do the whole pranic healing thing. I do something called pranic psychotherapy,
Mm-hmm.
which is uh, removing emotions, removing traumas, and also removing not so good beings in there and entity stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do not do possessions, so I've been asked that, do you remove possessions? I'm not a shaman. I could do it, but I choose not to do possessions, okay? So that's where I draw a line. But I will do some, elementals or embedded in your chakras and, some stuff. So I I turned her around and I turned her on to Twin Hearts meditation, which is very, very healing. It's a pranic healing meditation. I
Mm-hmm.
had her do a bunch of exercises and different things on a daily basis every day. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, she had to stop what she was doing with the addiction stuff. I did some energy healing work on her with the addiction because when you have addiction, you do have entities in there and you do have elementals embedded in your chakras.
Right.
So we did all that work, and she was really good because she did so much homework because she really wanted to fix this on her own. And she called me later. She goes, "You changed my life.
Oh,
Like,
that's
you changed my whole life."
mm-hmm.
Like, did I know when I was told I'm going to talk to a horse that I was going to go change somebody's life? No, I did
Right.
not know that.
Right.
And like, it's so profound because then the horse, the horse goes up to her now. I feel like I healed, I helped her help herself heal
Right.
that 7 generations forward, 7 generations back, plus the horse. The horse has generations too, 7 generations back, 7 generations forward, the next incarnation, and it's healed.
I
Beautiful. It's
I
amazing.
can't say enough how much I'm loving this show. And can I say, is all the some of these stories that you're talking about, are they going to be in your book or one of those two books?
Yeah, a lot of it's going to be in my book. So
Hmm.
um, I don't have a deadline for my book, but I'm halfway through. So,
Yay!
and I'm not sure if I'm looking for a publisher. I would like
Hmm.
to have a literary agent and have it published. If anybody knows, send them my way. If not, it, may end up on Amazon, Kindle. I'm not sure. I want to do Audible,
Right.
and I would also like to work with the hard of hearing and deaf community.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I would like to work with a person. I never learned sign language as a kid growing
Oh.
up.
Okay.
I didn't get my hearing fixed until I was 17 years old. Can you imagine? 6 years old was first grade, and then
Mhm.
17 is when I graduated from high school. So I was
Wow.
profoundly hard of hearing from 6 to 17.
Right. Right. And this was part of your
I
journey.
never learned
Yeah.
sign language.
Mm-hmm.
I never went to a special school. I learned how to read lips on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and I became very um, I would say outside the box, like the way you communicate. I always
Yes.
was very observant, and
Right.
to this day, when I watch TV, because I can't really, I'm hard of hearing still. I've had 2 surgeries, which then the wire got pulled out, so I'm still actually hard of hearing. So I have trouble with the TV because it's like so dissipated in your environment.
Right.
So I put the captions on, and I always listen to all these different languages, like all the subtitles in different languages. It doesn't phase me at all because I'm used to watching in captions anyway.
Right. Right.
English. So whether it's French or English or German or whatever it is. It doesn't matter to me because I'm used to
Just used to, yep.
having a quick mind where I can pick up the captions and watch the story at the same time. So I kind of like, picked up a few skills along my formative years,
Yeah.
but the profoundness of it is this thing that caused much, much, much suffering in my life. I got fired from a job for being hard of hearing. For real. Yeah.
Mm,
So much suffering in my life is the the other side of the coin, which is, that I could do this work. And I'm
right.
more I thought I had an equal I thought all animal communicators were the same. So I went to school with a bunch of students from two classes.
Hmm.
So the class that I started with and then the class before, and we went through the training at our own pace. So I got it done in, I don't know, 2 years.
Hmm.
And some of them are still doing it, and they work slower, they have full-time jobs and all of that. But we
Right.
always talked. So we had this group where we shared with one another. We would call each other sometimes. And so I didn't know because I found out we're all communicating differently, like with animals. It's not all the same.
Right.
And so what I assumed everybody got clairaudient. I assumed it was audio for everybody. And they're like, no, I only get images or I only get empathic feelings or pain or whatever it is. I'm like,
Right.
really? So I found out that that was like an additional really cool, my favorite skill because I can get the
Oh,
personality of the animal.
yes. I would
So we're
love
all different.
to hear
So
the
when you
accent.
learn, when I teach you, when you guys come to my school,
Hmm.
I'm going to put together the formal training when Carol Gurney retires. I don't want to, you know, step on her toes, steal
Right.
her
Right.
information. So she's
Hmm.
retiring 2023. I'll do the more formalized training. 2023 is around the corner, guys. So I'm going to do an introduction to animal communication. So I'm going to have that done by October. So if you go on my website, and I'll give it to you at the end, but my website is animals dash speak hyphen. So it's the word animals and then hyphen
Hmm.
speak.com. Okay. And I think you have my QR
Yes.
code,
Yes.
which
And
is on the header.
yep, guys, if you go on to whatever platform you're on, except for Clubhouse, if you click on that link on YouTube, you'll see I have all of her contact information underneath the video and also scrolling across that banner that you'll be able to see her websites and all the different social media accounts. Hmm.
So if you want to go on there and there's a pop up box, put your info in because I assure you, I do not have time to spam you. I tell everybody I do my own marketing. I do not have time to spam you. So
Hmm.
if you get something from me, it'll be every once in a while and it'll be very important. It'll either be an event or a coupon, which I rarely give, because of how many hours I work
Right.
for your animal.
So
So I don't charge you by the hour.
are you still doing I know you were doing pro bono are you still doing that with the zoo and the sanctuaries and
Yes. So
hmm
my next client, let me grab my phone.
hmm
So I have a sorry, I just made that smaller.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, was that you? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, let me grab my phone. I'll show you my next client. Pretty cool. So my next client is named Moxie. She is a lioness.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't she
Look at
gorgeous?
her.
I want to use her for
Yes.
one of the covers of my book. She is
Oh.
stunning. She's amazing. I can't wait to talk to her. So they just sent me the questions.
Mhm.
I'm going to talk to her. I'm very excited.
Oh, that is
So
awesome.
I also have. Let me put this out there since
Mhm.
any of you can share this.
Mhm.
So I have a very generous, beautiful soul who's willing to donate money once a month to me to talk to animals, and she's really into horses and donkeys.
Mhm.
So she wants me to communicate with animals. She's willing to pay for a once a month session.
Mhm.
So she paid for me to talk to Moxie. She's paying for me because I'm usually doing a lot of work for free.
Right,
Um,
right.
so So if you know of anybody that has a horse rescue, um, or a donkey rescue, she wants me to talk to some horses and donkeys. Or if you have any other animals, that are out there that aren't domestic animals that I can talk to, for this purpose, for the purpose of the books and getting the
That's
messages for
wonderful.
humanity and sharing, then contact me. My email is on my website. So when you go to my website, you can find my email,
Mhm.
and my phone number and everything. So, well, what else were you going to ask me, Lisa?
No, this is absolutely wonderful. So just to repeat, guys, and anybody on replay, please feel free to contact Lolly Jane on her website. If you know of anybody that has donkey or horse rescue, uh, so that you could do, it's like a once a month type of thing that this
Yeah,
person,
yeah. So
that's sensational.
I have her, doing a donation for me once a month, and
Yeah,
I asked her if I could do all the animals, not just horses and donkeys. So she said yes,
yeah,
but
okay,
I thought I'd throw a few horses and donkeys in because I don't
yeah,
have I moved back to Florida from Hawaii, so I don't have like a connection with the,
mhm,
Florida community here and stuff.
mhm.
I want to share a story with you. I thought
Yes,
I was
please.
done talking, but I keep
Go
thinking
ahead,
of things.
go ahead.
Another exciting one. Okay, so I worked with the Wild Heart Sanctuary in Utah, and they rescue wild mustangs. And I talked to almost the entire infinity herd. And infinity, like an infinity symbol, eight is eight horses. So the infinity herd is eight. So I talked to almost the entire herd of wild mustangs. But these wild mustangs had a special ability. They were healers. So what
Yes, I've
she
heard of that.
does is
Mhm.
she has a sanctuary where she brings people in that have had, like, cancer or like long-term ailments or diseases that they could never get rid of. And the horses will go up to them and they'll touch them and bump them in certain spots and they will be healed like forever. And so she does this amazing work and she keeps rescuing more and more and more. And so I talked to, I think, six of her eight Infinity Herd at the time when I was working with her. And the lead Mustang, okay, so you know all about Alpha,
Mhm,
the Alpha. There's always an Alpha
mhm.
in all hierarchies, even domestics, especially the cats. They have crazy hierarchies. And I found out the Alpha, you're going to love this. The Alpha is like the bully. And no, I'm sorry. The Alpha is like the president. And I'm not talking about our politics. I'm just talking in general. Okay.
Right,
So,
right.
an analogy. The Alpha is like the president and the assistant. So the animals told me, oh, I don't do the work. I have my assistant do it. So the assistant's like the vice president, but the one who's like, Guido, like
Yeah.
the bully,
Mhm,
like the gangster bully is the
mhm.
the assistant. So a better analogy besides president and vice president is the Godfather. So the alpha's like the Godfather, and the assistant does all the work.
Wow.
Okay, so how do you like that? So there's always an
Yeah.
alpha. So in this herd, um, the female named Noble Moon.
Oh, I
So
love
Noble
that.
Moon was the female divine alpha.
Mhm.
I'm so glad it was a female. So
Mm.
I talked to her and I talked to some of the other horses. But when I was talking to her, I talked to her for 4 hours.
This was
Four
the horse
hours.
you were talking about.
Yes.
Wow. I love it.
And she shared everything with me about how they do healing, and I
Mhm,
shared how I do healing. And at the end, and then I thought it was the end, right? So at the
mhm.
end, I said, you know what? I have to do an energy healing session next on a human remotely who is in Arizona. So I said, would you like to sit in and watch? Since I have this healer animal master healer animal dialed up already, that she could stand by and watch me do an energy healing on a human in another location. Wrap your mind around that one.
Wow.
Yeah. So she said, I would love to. I would love to. She goes, but first, you need to get some food and drink some water because you're going to topple over. And I literally did feel like fainting. She goes, you're going to topple over.
Can I ask you, just out of curiosity, because I know two people that work with healing horses, and one of them is Jenny Jablonski and Michelle Cope, and I didn't know if one of those two were the ones you were talking about with the sanctuaries. Because
No,
okay, I
no,
was just curious
no.
because they talked about the healing
Yeah, but
aid.
hook them up with me for sure.
Yeah. Oh, they're gonna
Would
love this
love to
video.
do that. Yes. Yes. Okay. So I keep thinking of new stories. Okay. So, um, this is amazing too. This is just an amazing experience, which I don't know too many people who've had this one.
Mhm.
Okay, so I get something to eat and drink, and I go back and I arrange all my stuff for the energy healing session. So Noble Moon watches me for the next 2 hours. So I'm with Noble Moon for 6 hours.
Wow.
Okay. Yes. So Noble Moon watches me, and she doesn't intervene the entire time. She watches me for 2 hours. I do a remote energy healing on somebody, and at
Mhm.
the end, she goes, after I'm done, I go, what did you think? She goes, that was amazing. She goes, I want to bring you into the sanctuary where we're at, and I want you to train the rest of the herd.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, wait a second. I just talked to a horse who then watched me do an energy healing, who then just
Mhm.
invited me to come in and train a herd of animals,
Mhm.
all without human intervention. Oh my God.
Wow.
And she explained to me, I go, well, what's different about the way you do it? So she said, so, do you know what Shaktipat is? Does everybody know? Let me tell you what the term Shaktipat, if you're not aware.
Mhm.
Okay. So, Shaktipat is that divine healing where you have so much chi, ki, prana, ruach, same words, different
Mhm.
languages. All of those words ki, chi, prana, mana. Okay.
Mhm.
You have so much in your body that it was like what Jesus did. You could just tap somebody's forehead. It's like what the evangelists do on TV, except I think
Mhm.
half of those are fake.
Mhm.
But they tap somebody on the forehead, they fall down, they faint, and they're healed, right?
Right.
That's Shaktipat,
Mhm.
where it's instant. That's what Jesus did. Jesus was Shaktipat.
Mhm.
Okay. So you had so much inner chi built up that you can do that. So pranic healing is not that. Pranic healing is you're using external forms of what we call prana, right? Because it comes from India and China and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Prana is the word we use instead of chi. So you use outside sources of prana. We use solar prana. We use air prana. We use divine prana from the crown. That's a big one.
Mhm.
We use some of our own prana, but try not to. We use ground prana. All the elements have
Mhm.
prana, and then the sun, and then the crown, the divine.
Mhm.
So we use outside sources. We bring it in through our crown, through our heart, out our hands. And just like the Buddha sculpture, that's how we deliver it. So
Mhm.
you're taking prana in through one hand, and like a teapot, you're delivering it through the other hand, just like the Buddha sculpture.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the way I do it, it's the other name for it is external medical qigong.
Mhm.
Internal medical qigong is where you build all the qi inside. That's how
Mhm.
you can do Shaktipat, okay? But it takes a long time to develop the qi, and if you're like me, you just don't have it, okay? You just don't have it because I walk by people and have my energy zapped. So I'm not going to be a Shaktipat, at least not right now. I'm hoping I will in the future. I had a conversation with Jesus the other day on this.
Mhm.
And I had a dream and I was talking to Jesus and I'm like, Jesus, I want to do what you do. And, meaning the Shaktipat. And he's
Right.
like, you're already doing it. I go, well, I don't tap people and they're healed. because you walk by them and they are.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then he handed me all these herbs and oils, and then the dream ended before I found out what they are. So I assumed they're like frankincense and myrrh and all that biblical stuff.
Yes.
So
I
that was my dream with Jesus about the Shaktipat. But back to the horse. So he didn't use the word Shaktipat, but he's explaining to me, or she, I'm sorry, she, Noble Moon.
mm-hmm.
She's explaining to me how that's what they do. They're Shaktipat healers. So they have so much chi and energy, and they are like dolphins. I would say
Wow.
horses and dolphins are exactly alike. They have
Mm-hmm.
so much third eye open and so much telekinetics and
Mm-hmm.
telekinesis and telepathy and they can see. They can just walk right up to the energy because they can see the energy. They
Mm-hmm.
can see all energy. So if you have cancer, they can see the area like an X-ray. They
Mm-hmm.
know exactly where to go. Okay? So horses are connected to the root chakra. Did you know if you look at a poster of wild horses, that will connect your root chakra and ground you. Not only grounding, but you can energize your root chakra from a poster of wild horses.
Wow.
I know,
Quick
right?
eating, yeah.
I know. You know how we take in prana
Mm-hmm.
from like outside sources?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can also suck in the prana from a poster of wild horses and other things,
Mm-hmm.
like the angelic realm. We have angelic posters that we use, and healing
Right.
angels. We have a healing angel poster that we use.
That is
Things
so
like that.
awesome.
I know. It's so cool. Okay,
Well,
so the way Noble Moon and the rest of the Infinity Herd work is they were Shaktipat healers. So they would
mhm.
just go, nudge or tap and it's done. Done deal. They didn't have to do all the work that I do, throwing stuff in a salt bucket and cleansing my hands and all that stuff,
Mhm.
right? That's why I asked Jesus. I'm like, this is too much. You need to give me some Shaktipat skills. So pranic healing is more work. That's why it takes me 2 hours as opposed to like 5 minutes. Okay, so but Noble Moon was so enthralled with the way I do what I do. He's like,
Mhm.
I want you to come train the horses how to do this. So, I didn't get a chance to go back to Utah and the whole COVID thing and the vaccine
Right.
thing and this and that and everything else. And so it never happened, but it just when I look back on that conversation with that horse and the rest of the horses, mind blowing. It's it spiritually alters you. I mean, I have been so changed. If I could sum up this presentation and this, talk, it's how spiritually changed I have become from these, clients that came to me or the animals came to me because it changed me in so many like amazing ways because once you know, you can't unknow.
Mhm. And it really hit me when you said, and I never thought about it, that you became an expert, translator to humans from animals in the kindest, most compassionate way you could explain to them how they were, you know, mirroring or I never thought about that. I mean, I know animals do. They're down here for their own soul evolvement and they're also here to help us. But I never thought about how for you to communicate, to develop that compassion, to be able to explain to a human something that's really rough to explain to help you to communicate better. Because I have throat chakra, I'm learning as well. Hmm. Interesting.
I had no idea when I wanted to be an animal communicator because I was so passionate about animals.
Hmm.
And when that woman walked in there and it just like I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I actually got uh, canned from that job for not reaching my sales quota after 2 years. And after that, there was a period of time where I went through different things going, I'm going to become something that I'm passionate about. I have to find my
Yes.
passion.
Yep.
So I tried beekeeping for a day. I tried being a beekeeper. I put on a beekeeping suit and I tried being a beekeeper. Hey, at the end of the day, I'm like, I pay homage to anybody that has anything to do with honey, including the bees, but hell no. It was
My
like
son
too
thought
hot and
that.
sweaty and so hard. It was
Yeah,
manual labor,
yeah.
and then I tried being a jewelry maker and that didn't work. Then I got to the, part about the animal communicator when the other person came in and said that to me, and it was just,
Yes.
that's it. This is it.
That's it. You knew it. That is
I knew
awesome.
it, but when I walked into I wanna be an animal communicator because I love animals,
Mhm.
and I'm already, channeling and all this stuff. I had no idea that I was going to become an amazing human communicator. I had no
That's
idea
the aspect
that
of it.
I was
Yep.
going it's like taking NLP and neuro-linguistics programming, or
Mhm.
like taking like, Tony Robbins, or like a workshop, but it's from the
Yeah,
animals and
but for
from,
the animals. Yeah,
wow.
that's amazing. I never thought about it. It didn't
Yeah.
connect until you said that in this show, how that has transformed you with being able to communicate, you know. Yeah, amazing. That's amazing. I wanted
And
to say,
I have to
guys.
give
Mhm.
kudos. Oh, I have to give
Go ahead.
kudos to my mentor, Sue Irwin, because
Uh-huh.
she would get in my face sometimes and, like point me in that direction. Like, these difficult cases that you're getting are for you, for your
Yeah,
lessons too, not just the person's lesson.
because
So
I would
she
have a
would
difficult
redirect
time.
me.
It's like you wanna sugarcoat it so you don't hurt their feelings, but now I'm
Yeah.
past that, I get that.
Where
That's
you're
just
like, why do I have this case with this angry person who's yelling at me?
yeah,
Blaming me for her issues. Well, because I
right.
needed to learn that, and I need to learn that deeply, just like she is. It's mirroring upon mirroring upon mirroring.
Yes.
Amazing.
I absolutely, oh my goodness, love this show. I wanted to say, guys, if you're still in the feed or if you just popped on, please check out the replay. We've been on here for a little over 2 hours, but it was just packed full of knowledge. So I hope you'll, rewind, check the replay. And also, Shauna, are you there? Hello, Shauna.
I'm here.
Hi,
Before we close
Shauna.
the show, I just want to thank you so much for, you've been with us since the beginning. Did you want to say anything to Lolly before we close out? Wow.
Um, I just think that you're awesome.
Oh,
Yes.
Um,
thank you.
I I grew up wanting to do exactly what you're doing. To be honest, I did. I mean, that it I didn't know it. I mean, I guess I did know it, but I mean, I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, I really wanted to be like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to be able to go, you know, what's wrong? What is wrong with you? And be able to help people, you know, who are struggling, and pets who are struggling, and animals who are struggling. And, I mean, not to go back to my RJ, but, I mean, he's a special guy. And it's like there's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to you. I don't know how to react to you. And and the same thing with, a couple of other, my Zoe, I just don't know really. She's new to us, um and she has some behavioral issues as well. And but the baby, she's perfect.
Ah, and how
Well, I
many
mean, I could even ask him that question. Like, your person doesn't she doesn't quite hear like I do, and she wants to know from you, like, how can she better receive it or react to you or whatever. And I can literally ask the animal a simple question like that, and they'll give me pointers. Oh, my person doesn't understand like you do. Oh, this is what she can do. And they'll tell me ideas. I ask them what they need to be comfortable. Um, what they need from their person to feel comfortable in whatever
Yeah.
situation that we're talking about. And they'll tell me, this is what I need. This is what my body needs. This is what I need. This is what I need from my person. And then I can go back and share that because, you don't know
Well,
what you
see,
don't know.
this summer, what I did, or spring, what I did is I live in a 2-bedroom trailer, and so the biggest thing for me was that, with especially with RJ, was that I wanted to give him a space to where he could run, where he could exercise, where he could be outside without there being a leash attached to him, because I felt as though that was what he needed. And so I built a fence, or well, I built a um they're baby gates all
Mm-hmm.
the way around the front of my trailer to the entrance, so that he can be out there, and he can metaphorically chase the trucks and bark at everybody. And well, he's gotten out a couple of times. He's figured out, hey, here's a loophole, let me take it. And he's given me a run for my money on that end, and it's like, dude, seriously, you know, and I don't think that he wants to run away from me, because he always comes back and he doesn't go far. But I'm like, I'm tired. I
I
Yeah.
can't.
am, I am, I am, I don't know if this is like just me being intuitive. I don't want to say that this is the definitive because I haven't tuned in with him yet. But what I'm getting like intuitively is that he's running away because he wants you to like learn this stuff and to you're not getting it. You're not getting it. You're just doing the material, world things that need to be done to protect him. But he's trying to tell you something. Animals do not do stuff for no reason. They
Mm-hmm.
always have a reason. Always, always, always. And many times the reason is to turn my person back around so they can then, you know, they know that you can contact somebody. They know you can find somebody to talk to animals,
So, I,
so to turn them back so you can learn this ability also.
and you said you're going to have your classes starting in
Yeah, so
2023.
I'm
Okay.
gonna no, I'm gonna have intro class
Okay.
in October.
Mm-hmm.
Um, get on that pop up thing on when it first
Animals
pops up on my website
dot
on
speak.
animals-speak.com.
Okay.
Put yourself in there, and then I'll send you an event invite. I'm gonna charge for it. I don't know how much yet, but it's gonna be intro to animal communication, and then we're gonna go from there. So then we're gonna have for those who have already taken a little bit of animal communication, a mentoring program. Like some people have already taken a class,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't do it because they're having trouble just hearing or whatever. I can do private mentoring or group mentoring, and then we're gonna have a track which is for pet owners, pet lovers, and then another track for professional from there. But in October, I will do the intro to animal communication class, and you can all get on board with that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And as much as I'd love to stay on, we actually have to get going. We've been on here for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I greatly thank you for your
Wait, I
time.
want to share one
Yeah,
more thing.
yeah, yeah.
One more. I want to end with this, okay?
Uh-huh.
So, when I lived in Hawaii, I lived on a beach with a beach called Magic Sands in a very sacred area called La'aloa, which means in Hawaiian very sacred.
Love
So,
it.
it has some very high energies there. So, I lived across the street. So, I would go in the water there, and this bumblebee goby fish would swim right up to me. And I had to look it up. I'm like, what kind of fish is this? I looked
Yeah,
it up, and
yeah.
it looked like a bee. It literally looked like a bee.
Wow.
And I found out bumblebee gobyfish do not swim in open ocean. They do not. They live in rivers and estuaries, and nowhere near this beach was a river or an estuary. And I'm like, why are you here? So the bumblebee gobyfish told me a couple of things. He told me that it's actually the bee ascension. They go into the ocean, and it blew my mind because I saw a lot of bees come down from the mountain and fly
Oh,
over the ocean all
wow.
the time. So he was telling me, or she was telling me,
Mhm.
that it's a bee ascension thing. And so I would see bees in the water after that floating like they were dead. I would congratulate them. But I said, do you have any messages for humanity?
Mhm.
And this was not the only time that I spoke to this bumblebee gobyfish. I lived right across the street, so I went in the ocean frequently. Every time I would go in the ocean, this bumblebee gobyfish would come out of nowhere, solitary, and speak to me. And it would go in these big giant waves. I mean, the waves were like sometimes 20 feet high in that beach, and you have to go under instead of over. And this fish would swim over the 20-foot high wave with me while I would go under and still be with me when I would come up. I mean, would go around and swim with me for like hours. Crazy. So
Wow.
I said, well, do you have any messages for me or the humans?
Mhm.
And the bumblebee gobyfish gave me a message. And then I wrote it down. I'm kind of keeping a diary. And then a long time later, I didn't see the bee. I'll give you the message at the end.
Mhm.
But um, a long time later, I named the bee Queen. And I would call out, Queen, where are you? And she would show up and, we would swim together. And then she disappeared. I didn't see her. I'm like, okay, I guess she's gone forever. I'm never going to see her again. I guess she ascended or, I don't know how long they lived.
Mhm.
Uh, And so I didn't see her for a long time. And then right before I decided I was moving back off the island to Florida, because I'm from Florida, right before that, I went swimming. And who showed up but Queen out of nowhere? And I said, oh,
Mhm.
wow, it's you. Amazing. I go, do you have any messages for me? I'm leaving the island. Do you have any messages for me or the other humans? And I had forgotten that other message because it was a long time ago. I wrote it down like months ago in my diary. I wrote it down. I forgot all about it. And Queen told me the exact same thing. Always, always swim downstream instead of upstream. Stop swimming upstream. Always go downstream. Go with the flow of things. That you'll be led in your river, along your river, which is your path. You will always be led, and that everybody has their own river. Don't
Yeah.
go in somebody else's river. In
What?
other words, only follow path, your own path, and that we all have different paths, and you don't need to look or be jealous of anybody or copy anybody else's path. Just stay in your own river, and like literally bringing me to tears from Queen.
Wow.
Yes,
What a beautiful message.
I
I
know.
I can't wait. Guys, if you missed this, she's gonna have a book coming out called Messages for Humanity. So we gotta keep in touch because when that comes out, please let me know because I would love to have you back on again. I I'm so yeah. Yeah. I'm
I
excited
guess
for that
we.
book.
I think we just named my book because that was going to be my second book. But I think it might be my first book.
Yeah, I'm just loving it, and I loved oh my goodness, guys. Yes, if you just popped on, please check out the replay. We had so many things that Lolly just went over. It's just amazing. And I can't thank you enough for all the time today. Thank you so very much.
You are welcome. Okay, so to find me,
Mhm.
animals dash speak. The dash is a hyphen, not the word dash.
Mhm.
Animals dash speak. My email, if you want to email me, is Loli Jane, Animal Communication at gmail.com. But you can find that on my website. My phone number is on my website.
Yeah.
And I have a YouTube channel. And to find it, if you know how you do the search thing on TV, on the
Yep.
YouTube TV,
Mhm.
just write Loli, Loli, and then the word Jane, space, Loli, space, Jane. And my picture will come up. And you can watch me on TV.
I love this. My son is well, we're all animal lovers here, but my one son, he has autism and he has ADHD. And when you said that, I know that he's very picks up everybody's energies. But we're going to be watching this for sure because he loves everything about animals, and we're going to watch this again probably over the weekend. So thank you so very much, Lolly Jane. Appreciate you so much. It's such a pleasure to have met you. And guys, I hope you'll reach out to her. If anything resonated, you can reach her at animals-speak.com. She's on YouTube and you're on Instagram because I have all her information
Yes,
underneath.
I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called
Yes. Yeah.
Animal Communication and Healing.
Hmm.
And I have a Facebook page called Loli Jane Animal Communication and Healing. And
So
then
reach out.
Instagram is, I don't know what my Instagram at telepathy or
I don't.
animal telepathy at animal
Okay.
telepathy.
Okay. So
But
yeah,
I want to thank you
uh,
so much, Lisa, for reaching out to me, for
I
hosting this,
definitely
and
my
for the
pleasure.
divine I am, because we are the divine I am.
Yes, we are, guys.
Okay?
Everybody, you have this capability. You just got to put that work in. If you're not already, if you didn't come here woke, you got to
You're
put
woke
that work.
now.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So thank you so much, Lolly Jean, and I hope you have a wonderful
Namaste.
week.
My namaste.
Namaste. Much love to you all, guys. Take care. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Mwah. Bye.